you do not go after these very particular weak areas and do not thrash these weak areas, you are never going to help yourself. So it is important that these things take up. And in this cutthroat competition where lakhs of the students are preparing, you have to see that each and every mark counts. Good morning, dear friends. Today I am going to talk about the approaching competitive examinations that are around the corner. Most of the students are preparing for the competitive examinations, and I believe that everybody is worried about the outcome of these competitive examinations. No doubt a student puts his or her tear and toil into it, but the kind of the result he expects does not come his way. What is the reason for that? Why is it that the students apply strenuous efforts and yet the result is not on expected lines? Is it basically because the preparation is not on the right track? Or it is because the preparation is itself flawed? Or it is basically because their fortune does not smile on them? Well, I would like to actually make it clear to the people that, look, as far as preparing for the competitive examinations is concerned, you can prepare yourself very well. You are matured enough to know how to prepare for that competitive examination, but I believe that there is a strategy that has to be adopted. So today, I like to make it sure that the people who follow this kind of a strategy, which I'm going to explain, is surely going to help them pull themselves off and then produce the result that they want. What have they to do? The first thing is that there has to be a well-designed plan for preparation. It is not that you are just going to sit on the books and then start preparing for the competitive examination. That's not the case, and that will not help you. What you have to do is to pick up the books and prepare a timetable for each subject. Now, most of the times what we do is that we love studying the subject that is favorite, that is close to our heart, and that also helps us score better. It's good. We should be doing that. There is absolutely no point in not supporting this. I completely subscribe to this kind of the theory. But at the same time, you have to understand that if there is a favorite portion that you are doing very good at, that alone will not fetch you marks there in the competitive examinations. What you have to keep in mind is that you have to give equal time to other areas of a particular competitive examination. If there is reasoning, maths, English, data interpretation, or any other part for that matter of fact, you cannot avoid one at the cost of the other. I have seen that most of the people actually work on the subject or on the areas which are their strong areas. I believe that you have to strengthen your strengths, and if there is any particular weak area, that has to be looked into, because ultimately when you face competitive examination, you will not face the questions of your choice. There will be varied questions, there will be different questions, and that is where you will have to face the test of your life. Now the question is that how to do it? Well, I have a simple method of going after this very particular competitive examination, whichever competitive examination you are going to face. The fact is that you will have to follow a particular method. First, find out what are the weak areas, how fast you can remove the weaknesses and shortcomings. And second, what are your strong areas? Make sure that strong areas are always going to be your strong areas, and that you are not basically going to be complacent about these very areas, because at one particular point of time, it happens that once you think that you are very good at a particular subject and there is no need for you to work on that because that will automatically come your way. That's not the case. Sometimes you need more preparation for the strong areas because that is where complacency plays its own role. But on the other hand, when it comes to the weak areas, I think that these weak areas have to be identified, because whether you like it or not, the fact is that they are going to be the part and parcel of your competitive examination process. And if you do not go after these very particular weak areas and do not thrash these weak areas, you are never going to help yourself. So it is important that these things to be taken up. Now, how to do it? That is the question. I believe that maximum time has to be given to the areas where you are weak. Consult the books, consult the teachers, consult your friends. Try to find out why the weak areas continue to be your weak links. And then try to understand how these weak links can be improved upon. And once you do that, practice very hard on that. Take up the questions. Don't worry about the time being consumed. And I am sure that once you get deep into these very weak areas, you will find a solution, you will find the answer. But if you leave them and just go on only preparing for the strong areas, then you may score, but you cannot score the way it is needed there in the competitive examination. So it's very important that you follow a particular method. Make sure that you are never going to take anything lightly. You will not take anything easily. Everything has to be given proper time. Everything has to be given proper treatment. English is supposed to be somebody's cup of tea, or it's supposed to be a very strong area. Okay, that's good, that's great. But at the same time, see, is maths also your area which needs to be looked into? Data interpretation, reasoning, general knowledge. These are the areas for the competitive examination that have to be also taken care of, because ultimately when combined efforts of all these are there, then only it may be possible for you to place yourself on the top when it comes to the competition and all that. And in this cutthroat competition where lakhs of the students are preparing, you have to see that each and every mark counts. Each and every question counts, even if it is the question of 1.5 mark. The fact is that you have to do your best to be there on the top. So I would like to tell you in the end that when you go on facing the competitive examination, prepare the time chart, ensure that equal time is going to be given to every paper, every subject. Find out the areas which are very weak, give them more time. And then when you face the competitive examination, start with the strong areas first. Don't waste time on the weak areas. Like if math is supposed to be a weak link, then spend your time maximum in solving the questions about English, because that's supposed to be your strong subject. Or on the data interpretation, that's also supposed to be your strong subject. And once you go on solving the strong areas, then focus your energy on the weak areas, because by the time your time is little left, you cannot afford to waste that on solving the questions which you find difficult. So it is better to solve the questions which are easy, which are comprehensible, which you can easily understand, which you can easily solve. And once you do that, I am sure then you might have actually scored half of the victory. Then comes to the weak areas and start thinking about the weak areas and look into them, take one by one them and understand the questions first. Make sure that you are there attempting each and every question. And if it's a negative marking, then don't take risk. Solve the questions which you are very, very close to solving, or which you know, 90% of the answer you know. Try to give a shot to that very particular question. Otherwise, it is better to leave and solve the questions which are very important, which are very easy for you, and about which you are almost 90 to 95% sure. And if you do it, I'm sure the success is going to come your way.